What's going on, guys? Steve Pulaski coming back with another review, this time of Paul Feig's The Heat. What's going on, guys? Thank you guys for joining me once again. And I want to say, though, I will try and get this review up maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. I got to work in about an hour, so I just want to make this video really quick. I'll try and get it up tonight. There are no guarantees, though. If not, I'm off tomorrow, and even though I'm having a party, I'll still have time to write, so maybe I'll try and get it out then. But anyway, I don't know if it's just me or maybe it's because I cleaned the camera, but it looks very clear today. Okay, just like the video right here, it looks very clear. I was surprised too because I was going back and watching some of my old videos, and I realized though that like the colors on my Blu-rays when I do these videos back in this setting is like very bright, you know what I mean? Like, I can see it right now. It's just very, illuminating. I like it, because I told you guys, my first few video reviews were blurrier than hell, because I was using my regular side of my camera, and here's the catch. I didn't take the plastic off my camera. That's why they look so frickin', what's the word I'm looking for? Very dusty and very, I don't know what the right word is, like a Polaroid, okay? But I faded. But yeah, if you guys watch my older videos, you'll know. But I got a new phone, and then I didn't take the plastic off because I just put the case right on it, so I'm an idiot, okay? It's my fault. But now my front camera, which is what I'm using right now because I'm actually looking at myself talking, this is nice because not only does it give me a feeling of perception and what I can see, but it also is just a lot brighter naturally, and it just looks better. And plus, there's nothing blocking the camera like my stupid self was before. Anyway, though, so The Heat, okay, Paul Feig's new movie. Paul Feig, I think he directed Bridesmaids. I'm pretty sure he had something to do with Bridesmaids. I think Judd Apatow wrote it and produced it, and he directed it. And he also directed the movie nobody saw, but I saw, didn't like it all, Unaccompanied Minors. You may remember it. Anyway, so as far as this movie goes, it's basically about Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy. I mean, could you get a better pairing of comedy actors nowadays? But it's those two, and they play a pair of cops. Okay, Sandra Bullock is a federal agent, FBI agent, whereas like Melissa McCarthy is a police officer, but she's kind of like a ragtag police officer. She drives like unmarked cars, and she's very blunt, and she's very vulgar. So they team up. They have to try and solve this crackdown on drugs in the Boston area, run by a guy who they're looking for, whose name is Larkin. It's a whole bunch of stuff going on. Do I even need to explain the more of the buddy cop conventions? But aside from the buddy cop conventions, this is actually a pretty funny movie, okay? It's one of the more surprising comedies I've seen this year. And I'll reiterate again that we've seen a lot of bad comedies this year. There have been some pretty terrible, awful comedies this year. Hangover 3, Identity Thief, which also starred Melissa McCarthy, very underwhelming. But as far as Melissa McCarthy goes, I'm up and down with her. I liked her, when I first saw Bridesmaids. Bridesmaids is one of those movies, too, that I wish I kind of could go back and delete the review, but I don't. I want to save the review as it replicates my opinion right after I watched it. I wish I could go back and rewrite my review of Bridesmaids, because I watched it on TV a little while ago. Wasn't so crazy about it, because I remember when I was like reading, when I first watched it though, I liked how everybody was like praising it. Then it got I liked that everybody was like praising it, but I hated the fact that some people were like, "This is so unfunny," and this is just like just like trying so hard. And I didn't understand. I didn't like that. Then when it got nominated for an Oscar though, when it got nominated for the screenwriting for the best original screenplay, I think it was, and Melissa McCarthy got the supporting actress nomination, I was like, "What? Are you serious?" I mean, it was good, don't get me wrong, but, original screenplay and best supporting actress material? I don't think so, you know what I mean? That was just a very weird choice to me. I mean, not the fact that comedies aren't getting recognition, but it felt like the Academy was more trying to be current rather than being honest, okay? Now, I went back and rewatched it, and it was okay. It's not that great. It's kind of overlong. It's got that same issue that Judd Apatow's later film, This Is 40, kind of had, but I like This Is 40. A lot of people hated it. I liked it. But Bridesmaids, though, is a fun movie for the first time you see it. Melissa McCarthy, a little bit of Melissa McCarthy goes a long way, okay? I didn't much care for her in Identity Thief, but she didn't have that great of material to work with, and her character was, she was supposed to be insufferable, but that gets to be wearing. Here, she's pretty damn good, I'll say. This is probably the strongest. I never watched Mike and Molly, but this is probably the strongest I've seen her. Because like I said, I just said a little bit of her goes a long way. But she's very funny in this movie. She's very, like, vulgar. And after about, like, an hour or so of her, you kind of get a little, it kind of gets to be a little bit droning. Once in a while, though, you'll get a really funny line from her. But I mean, the first hour, man, it's continuous, man. You're always laughing at the stuff she does because she's so obnoxious. She's so outrageous. And that's her shtick, okay? I can kind of equate her to Zach Galifianakis in the regard that she's sort of sloppy, but she's also very funny and has a heartwarming kind of thing. And I do like that, okay? And I also like with this movie that this pairing, okay, who's Sandra Bullock, who's very politically correct. She's very, like, you know, studious. She loves her job. Whereas Melissa McCarthy's more in favor of, like, spontaneousness and impulsiveness and kind of and being messy and not following the rules and just being vulgar. But the thing is, though, when they pair these two up together, the first thing I was expecting was something by the end when Sandra Bullock is going to try and change Melissa McCarthy, and Melissa McCarthy is going to be more upstanding in society, okay? But that's not what happens, not to ruin anything. But these characters don't fall prey to that kind of, like, changing, you know, personality overhaul convention, okay? And I like that. I really think that was a brilliant move on screenwriter Kate Dippold, I think her name was. That's a very brilliant move on her part because she didn't try and make this some sort of sappy, sentimental comedy where it was like the characters come to the realization of something at the end. No, she kept their personalities intact by the end of the movie. The only other downside I can think, beside the fact that this movie, a little bit of Melissa McCarthy goes a long way, and it does kind of get exhausting, the, you know, constant language, because I do like the fact that this movie didn't cop out to be an R-rated movie, because if this was or didn't cop out to be a PG-13 movie, because if this was a PG-13 movie, I saw some complaints on that online. If this was a PG-13 movie, it would have been another forgettable, disposable comedy that didn't utilize Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy to the fullest extent. It would have just been another rehash, okay? The fact that it's R-rated at least gives it more of an identity that it's trying to be cruder, it's trying to be more vulgar. And you don't have to be, obviously, you don't have to be vulgar to be funny. But in this day and age, though, it kind of has to push some sort of boundaries. And I'm not saying the Heat pushes any boundaries, but it is pretty funny, though, the heights it goes. Just because, I mean, you're almost not laughing at the vulgarity. I mean, in some scenes you are, but a lot of it is just the way things go and the obnoxiousness of it all. That's what made me laugh the most. It's just the outrageousness of everything in this movie. And the fact that this movie amps everything up to like level 10, and as far as like events go, it's never boring, it never ponders, it really is sophisticated in that department. The only other issue I can see is that it's another buddy cop comedy, okay? We don't need many more of those. The ones that we're going to need to have, though, are movies like this that pair up great actors or actresses together. Because Bullock and McCarthy really work well together, and they're very good actors on their own purposes. So this is a very funny movie. I definitely recommend it. Giving it 3 stars, okay? Higher than I thought I was going to give it. The trailers made it look very funny, okay? And the movie lives up to the trailers. But it is very, very vulgar of a movie, okay? I'm just going to tell you right now, it's an extremely vulgar movie, not for the faint of heart. It was weird. I saw a bunch of, like, elderly people in the theater. Like, I was definitely the youngest person in the theater, as I usually am when it comes to R-rated movies. But the thing is, I'm watching it though. No, and like, there's all these like older males and older women in there, and it's like I think they know Melissa McCarthy from Mike and Molly, and they don't really they saw kind of like that she was in this, because I know some like elderly people are like gasping at some of the stuff that was said in this movie. But that's what I always love. I always love when people misrepresent and don't do their own research on the movie beforehand and go see it. I'm sorry, I'm going to go off on this little tangent, but I saw Paul, the movie that's kind of gotten forgotten about now, the Simon Pegg, Nick Frost movie with the alien. I remember this like 8-year-old in the theater with his grandmother seeing this movie. But I mean, if you take your kid or you're older and you go to a movie that's R-rated like this and has a lot of swearing and you're offended, it is your own fault, okay? It is your own fault. I mean, if you're expecting it to be something else and it's that, I mean, if you go to a movie and you know pretty much what you're going to expect, then there's something like an animal murder, you can be offended, okay? But if you go into like an R-rated movie thinking it's going to be something else and it isn't and it's vulgar, it's your own fault because you're the one who misread the basic plot line behind it. Anyway, guys, don't want to get into a big political issue or a social issue. Thank you guys for watching. Sub if you haven't. I'll talk to you later. Bye.